All right, it's all official, folks. This is Craig Lane Health Alchemy, part 2 of 1. This is module 1, session 1 of 10. We've already done 1. I thought about watching the recording, but we're not going to do that today. There's some fresh material, but we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. And so it'll kind of be like doing the class over again. And present, I guess. There we go. Oh, let's limit this down to, that's much better. There we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to stop. If you're watching the recording, anybody watching this recording, you're not in the live call, I'll take a few pauses and say, why don't you stop and listen to this? And I'll be asking our group here for questions every now and then. So this class is about you as a practitioner, as a human being, looking at other people. And one of the things that came on early on in my life, 25, 30 years ago when I started my practice was, what the hell is health? You know, what is it? See, the word heal is in there, and heal means whole. Oh, wait a minute, but yoga means whole. Yoga means union of body, mind, spirit in the present moment. So if we don't have a good discernment about ourselves, then we pretty much, in my opinion, have no basis to judge another's or discern another's health. Why? Because we're not even clear about ourselves. So, and at the bottom here, nourishment and breakdown. So in medicine, we talk about taking in or anabolic process, and breakdown, letting go, catabolic process. And there should be a balance of that 24/7. Take a minute to browse at that. So one of the things that we're looking at in this program over the next 225 or more hours is seeing life as process and not as still frames. Vitamins are processes. They are not chemistry. The chemistry fits in with the process, but vitamin A is not a chemical. Vitamin C is not a chemical. Vitamin D is not a chemical. The chemicals are part of the process. Just no more than if you're running a race, my favorite metaphor, and someone takes a photograph of you running a race, you would think they were insane if they told you that the photograph was in fact you running the race. The process of running the race is the process. The photograph is one moment in time of you running the race. Very important distinction to get. So what I'm looking at as a health professional is, what's the process the person's in? Are they in getting wetter, drier? Are they losing bone? Are they gaining bone? Are they aging too fast? Is their energy going down to their feet too much? Is it in their head too much? Primarily, that's what I'm looking at first. And so one of the things I meditate on all day, every day is, who am I? Who is this I that's judging others? What am I? How do I even know I'm clear? How do I know what arises for me in my own being is true? How do I know I can even trust these arisings? These are good inner suspicions to have because it makes us reach higher. At the bottom of this, your homework, I have 3 little videos for homework, and they're all about 5-10 minutes each. These are 2 right here, the commandments of health and the 5 attributes of health. We may or may not watch one of those today. So what I've spent my life studying is natural law. I didn't know what it was I was studying 30 years ago when I broke my neck, but I know now that there's a process to nature. There's a process to life. And what the yogis call yoga, what they call pranayama, and they call these subtle sciences are part of natural law. Hard sciences are too, but we've become so imbalanced on the hard sciences, we've lost our way to aligning and stewarding and using nature. I would much rather put my investment in the whole universe versus some human's mind. Oh, this is how it should look because my mind thinks so. No, no, no. I'll take the mind of nature. Thank you very much. So when I look at nutritional supplements and herbs, I'm looking at unprocessed raw concentrates because they're coming out of nature. I don't need some contrived PhD saying you need 5 milligrams of coal mining waste B vitamin in my supplement, because most B vitamins, as I've told you guys, come out of the pharmaceutical industry from coal mining waste. It's disgusting. So that's kind of stuff you learn in a class like this, is like all these little dirty little secrets in medicine and health. And this is the inner terrain. So guess what, folks? Oh my God, our cells are outnumbered at least 1,000 to 1 by bugs. And there they are, crowded down in there. They're eating and they're pooping everywhere. Oh God, what am I really? You're the captain of the bug ship. How does it feel to be captain of the bug ship? Hi, I'm Craig, captain of the Craig bug ship. Captain of the Tara ship, the Kelly ship, the Anna ship, the big bug ship. And you're making the decisions as the captain. And that's where, see these two here, the inner terrain can go down as small as the cell or smaller, and the outer terrain can go out to the whole universe. So you're a captain of the earth suit. This body to me is an earth suit for my soul. And then see that little window, that portal there, that's the unknown. And that's where, see how there's 2 pillars and a top there? Those 2 pillars represent duality. This or that. Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I choose up? Do I choose down? Do I choose to have something wet or something dry, something hot, something cold? Beyond those gates of duality lies the mystery and what the alchemists call the greater world, what the Hindus call reality. The world we're in, they call illusion, and the alchemists call this the lesser world. I don't believe it's a value judgment, though. It's not a value judgment. So our life vacillates between the inner and the outer. Practical exercises. So that's what we just kind of did on our check-in. And in alchemy, Monica's been looking at my stages and phases of alchemical maturation. And the first phase of alchemy, and we're looking at ourselves, is to look at ourselves like we're a jigsaw puzzle. And so we pull the pieces apart of the jigsaw puzzle and analyze them. How do we do that? Through a few things we're going to be doing today and over the next week as homework. Impeccability, we'll talk about in a little bit. We just did a little self-inventory a little while ago. The breath is always available when you're awake. Having a mission and a purpose and the values that come with that. And using your breath, again, the 3 energetic breaths, which isn't really a breath, it's more of a feely thing, and having SMART goals. So notice there's a microscope there, and there's a woman that's pulling apart her jigsaw puzzle. That's kind of what we're doing. And I'm going to take a quick, we're going to stop share and ask if anybody has any SMART goals or stretches running, and I'll just call in people. Isabel, do you have a SMART goal running based on a larger mission, purpose, or goal or a project? Anybody know what a SMART goal is? Maybe
not necessarily.
Okay, great. SMART goal. So SMART goal is something that I've seen in business schools and Mankind Project and different areas of my life. So the S that, and Kelly will know some of these, but I have my own version of the acronym. So S to me in the SMART goal is simple, specific goals and or specific. The M is a measurable goal. I have a handout for this. You don't have to write it down. M is a measurable goal. A is an attainable goal. R is a realistic goal. And T is a time-bound goal. So example, people come to me and say, Craig, I want to lose weight. I go, that ain't gonna fly. That's not, what kind of negative statement is that? So messed up. I want to lose weight. Well, that's about as far from a SMART goal as they come, right? Hey, Craig, I'm going to lose 2 pounds a week for the next 10 weeks. And at the end of those 10 weeks, I'm going to be 20 pounds lighter. That's a SMART goal. It's attainable, it's realistic, it's measurable, and it's time-bound. So now with that being said, do we have, I'll start with Kelly because he's the master of all this stuff. So Kelly, got any SMART goals running? Any stretches this week? Month?
Nope, I do not. No, you know, I just came back from that road trip. I was gone for 10 days. It wasn't highly planned. It just happened. And I really feel like I'm still landing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just chime in about Kelly. So Kelly's the area steward, and there's 2 initiation weekends coming up early next year. And so Kelly and Bill, the 2 guys kind of working on this with the team, they'll have SMART goals around. This is a big event. It takes a lot of planning, and kudos to you guys, for putting that together. So you'd have SMART goals, right, to help you make that happen.
Right. We have all kinds of pre-existing SMART goals in our structure for planning those weekends.
Mhm.
And they don't kick in yet, but they're coming up. So that's in March. So by January, we'll be on the clock, maybe even December.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. Monica, SMART goal?
Yeah.
You got something running?
Well, the cleanse is the easy thing for me to say. I'm doing 2 weeks more of a cleanse. I've been on it about a week, and that's been a kind of ramp up week at the beginning, and then more fully. And I'm day by day continuing to stay true to the desires to not eat late at night, to make sure that I stay within the simple seasonal foods, take all the supplements, and be really, really careful not to overdo something physical that could be an effect that I don't want, like I've had before when I wasn't keeping good enough track that cleansing made me vulnerable. So that's my current, and it's 2 more weeks, and have every hope to keep feeling better every day.
Thanks, Monica. So the cleanse, there's a few of us, Monica and her husband, he's a doctor, and the 3 of us are kind of doing it. I normally eat a group cleanse, but I had too many desires running all at once, and so I had to kind of blow off the cleanse as a group process. But there's 3 layers to my cleanses, and there's the basic food charts, the wide umbrella, then there's weekly challenges, and then there's daily challenges that could include fasting and enemas and whatnot. So what I like about the SMART goal for the broader umbrella is it's basically the way I eat anyways. Because the way I eat anyways, most people would be cleansing their butts off. So it's a good set of goals because they're sort of given to you. Like, okay, here you go. Let's see, let's get one more person who's got something juicy. I think maybe Anna might have a SMART goal for us.
You know, interestingly enough, I'm noticing that I don't really have, I think since I've been out of work, right around the beginning of COVID, that's what I'm noticing is that I don't really have a structure, and I don't really have, specific things I want to accomplish or measurable, like, I'm just like, and there's the shame, make wrong. I just started school middle of September, which now feels like, but now I've got to set some structure for myself because it's very independent. It's very self-motivated. You got to be self-motivated, and I don't know myself to be self-motivated. So I'm like, up till midnight tonight, I've got some homework assignments due. But I do notice when I do set specific guidelines and measurable, I just literally pulled out a piece of paper and I'm like, all right, I got to set after this call, set my day up for tomorrow, or else I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna go get some tea, I'll go feed the chicken, I'll go check on the garden, I'll go for a walk. And then I'm like, it's 6 o'clock at night, what the heck happened to today? So yeah, I do notice, and I'm like, I really need to set a structure for myself so that because it's not just that I'm not getting things done, but then the mind starts getting involved and going, I'm not getting anything accomplished. I'm just kind of like days and weeks and months are passing by and nothing's happening, and that whole stuff. Muckety muck.
Thank you. That's a wonderful. Tara, Isabel, or Noelle, you have anything you want Brennan to share about this, or should we move on? You don't have to.
I do.
Tara has a SMART goal. Okay. What do you got?
Yeah. I recently sat down with myself and had sort of a meeting about, goals that I have, personal, with my health, for my family life, or all sorts of stuff. And I kind of categorized them and mapped out each week just sort of a template for how I'm going to contribute to those like broad goals, and broke it down so that it feels good. I'm Capricorn, so it feels good for me to have that sort of structure. And yeah, so I've broken it down like each day how I'm going to contribute to like, you know, a career, and how I'm going to contribute to myself individually, like even just like scheduling in time for play and time for to do nothing and time to not have, you know, structure too, kind of like putting it all in so that I'm not just floundering around and feeling kind of like I'm without purpose almost, you know? So it was really nice for me. And it's on a big whiteboard, and I have it in my room. I'm looking at it right now. That felt good for me to do that.
Wow. Okay, Isabel or Noel, you have a burning desire to share your SMART goal process? Okay, Isabel, you're good.
I'm fine.
Noel's fine too. Okay, so we'll go back to and this is good, great segue, because we go back to the screen share, and there it is. Okay. So I borrowed this piece from the Mankind Project because I share those core values. Accountability to my word, authenticity to myself. I don't use you statements, I use I statements. Compassion and empathy for others. Generosity when I can. Integrity means lined up with my values. Leadership means I'm not a natural born leader, so it involves, you know, using other people to help me be a better leader. Definitely all races, sizes, colors, all aspects of life are equal in my own, and respect for others too. So when we look at vision and mission and purpose, I have a strong vision in my life. And if you look at the middle of the PowerPoint there, vision is biggest. I have a very big vision. I'm almost always in the meta view of the planet. I'm only about half in my body at any given moment. The other half of me is in what we call the king view or the sovereign view most of the day. And so I realized long ago I needed to have a vision. And my vision is when I get messed up or out of balance, I come back to sitting in a meadow with trees around me and a creek and my clinic and our intentional community around me. And that's the vision I hold, is this very high level of vision of how man can live in communion with nature and still having technology and all the things we have. And so I'm a bridge. And so my mission is to be a bridge. As a matter of fact, one of my mission statements is I create a bridge between the worlds by knowing what I am. I create a world of harmony by checking in with my heart. I create a world of abundance by using my sexual and creative energy wisely. So those are some of my mission statements. So if I had a life purpose, it's to be a bridge from the seen world to the unseen world. One of my purposes and missions is to bring plants back to people. Very clear. And the SMART goals are how I set up accountability. And we're going to come back to that, what accountability versus integrity is right now. All right. So Kelly will get a kick out of this. I had a leadership training with Martin Marks, LT1, Leadership Training Part 1, and he talked about impeccability. And I just love that word. I'm an impeccable human being, right? So my simple formula through the men's work to make it sort of, integrity, gotta fix that spelling. I guess integrity is another version of integrity. And so your integrity is your alignment with your core values. If you don't know your core values, then we need to get to work soon, and you need to call me and we need to sit down for a half hour and get you some core values. And so your integrity is your alignment with your values. Your accountability is your alignment with your spoken word or written word. So, and they can come in conflict. Your integrity and your accountability can come in conflict. And I'll give you an example. I love this example. I need to be somewhere at 5 o'clock, but there's an old lady that's fallen in the road and I need to pull over and help her, but that's going to make me late and out of accountability. But my integrity is, my value is to help old ladies who have fallen in the road in general. So in this case, my integrity or my values trumps my accountability, because I need to help that old lady right now. And showing up at 5 isn't as important unless there's a war going on and I got to show up at 5 to blow up some people with my other guy friends. But hopefully we aren't ever going to be in a world like that where I got to blow people up. So I think that, let's see, that's kind of important. Any questions on that? This is my unique way of looking at it. Anybody have any clarifications? So impeccability is the summation of your integrity and your accountability. Anybody have any questions or contributions to that?
I just want to say I like how you've put those together and connected the values to that as a sort of baseline, almost like your root prayer. You know, you need that in order to move up the food chain of impeccability.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, that Martin Marks really, we had a lot of discussion about what does it mean to be an impeccable man, and I really thought about that for a long time afterwards, you know, and that's why this slide is here. So, anybody else? Okay.
Actually, I'll throw in.
Okay.
I really like it too, and I think that asking us to work on our statements to each other about our core values and our vision, mission, etc., is probably smart. They change all the time. They rearrange according to what we're doing. So now that I'm putting such a significant new effort into this, I want it to be clear in my words. I'd be happy if we do our best to share that and get real with the words.
Yeah, you know, you guys in your private container, amongst all of you, you know, you could have that be part of your private container too. They all have a private container, Kelly, where they meet outside of this and work a little bit. Okay, I'm going to move on to the screen again. Now, Don Miguel Ruiz, I have a link to this article from this guy who absolutely loves Don Miguel Ruiz. This is, there it goes. So what I highlighted there was being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you're impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. It's correct use of energy. So you're not draining yourself. And if you're familiar with the word sin is a bunch of baloney what the priest did with it. All sin means in old Aramaic is you missed the mark. You wanted to do this, but you did this instead. Uh-oh, you went against your internal voice that said not to do that. That's what sin is. You went off the mark. And repent means turn around and look inside for why you are sinning, out of balance. So repent your sin means, oh shit, made a mistake. Now I'm going to look within and figure out why. It's as simple as that. There's no morality with repent and sin whatsoever. None whatsoever. Oh, back to... Yeah, so there's a document link. When the link to the PowerPoint you guys all have, you can go to some of these documents. It's not going to be homework per se. We'll go to that to the end. Okay. We went over this last time, and self-inventory is another way to know yourself. Why? Because you get to see via data, how awake we are during the day. So let's define what's awake and aware. When you're awake and aware during the day, you're choosing, you're not reacting. You're responding, you're not in a trigger. You're conscious of what you're doing. It's light. It's free. The other is heavy and dark and confusing, right? When we're in delusion. So the self-inventory study is basically set a random timer. There's these random timer apps you can get. And then when the timer goes off, ideally you do it about, 10, 20 times a day, and you get 100 data points or more. And there's a spreadsheet for this you can use. What was I doing when the alarm went off? What was I thinking when the alarm went off? What was I feeling when the alarm went off? Was I conscious or not? I started doing this before I met Noel many years ago. And I was shocked at how asleep I was just by doing this. And Noelle helped me to realize how cocky I was too, because she called me out a few times 10, 11, 12 years ago. But I was pretty hot shit. And that input and feedback was very valuable. Like, oh, I'm not as hot shit as I think I am. I'm kind of arrogant. Thank you. So my self-inventory is more around, checking in to make sure I'm not too vigilant too, because the relaxation part means we're living out of our programming. And I don't want to live out of my programming because I'm kind of dangerous when I'm living out of my programming. So I'd rather be a little bit vigilant, but if you're too vigilant, then you get kind of numb and tight, So I love the word, you're stalking yourself. You're stalking yourself like a hunter. Okay, right now, pop quiz. Who am I going to pick on? Noelle, you there? Oh, I think we lost her.
I'm here. No, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
then.
just getting gas.
Oh, good timing. So the alarm just went off. What were you thinking just now?
How fucking expensive gas was.
Okay, so you're getting gas. We know.
I'm right on target.
Right. So what were you doing was getting gas. What were you feeling?
Yeah.
Just now.
Oh, I guess a little cynical.
Cynical. And were you conscious?
That's not really a feeling. But
Well, cynical can be irritated, angry.
yeah, irritated. That's a good idea.
Okay. And do you think you were conscious or not? Were you aware of all this as it was happening, or were you kind of like washed away with it?
No, I was aware because I immediately was feeling a bunch of other things as well. Like just really grateful that I even have a car to put the gas in. Just it all comes at once. So I wasn't washed away with one thing. No.
I see Monica getting close here. So Monica, what were you, thanks Noelle. Okay, Monica, alarm goes off. What were you doing?
I was checking in on whether I've got anything that I really feel confident about with these words, or whether I would ask that we make that an exercise during the class. Because I said, that'd be really good if we do that. Then you said, yeah, we have our outside container, and we kind of do. We started interacting with each other, but we're not meeting regularly, and maybe we want to. Maybe we can have it be a short period of time where we just say things like this, check in on our homework or something. But was seeking a way to ensure that there's something built in that we make sure that happens.
I'm going to talk with you and Noelle after the group, or in the next 24, 40 hours. I've already got some things set up, some infrastructure that's unrelated to what we're doing, but it's related to my men's group. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So what was I doing? Okay, you were doing that. So you were thinking, you're kind of telling us what you were thinking.
Yeah.
What were you feeling?
I was feeling humbled that, I don't know exactly what my best words are. I've worked them so many times, but I've never really felt I had something narrowed down. Being a 7 on the Enneagram, it's like 15 different things pulling at me all the time, and I haven't given enough of them up. So I have too much to choose from most of the time, and feel like I'm behind. When in fact I'm not so much behind as just needing to narrow down so that I can devote myself better. So
am I hearing overwhelm and fear a little bit?
I know that I'm putting myself in overwhelm, and so there's a little guilt about not having done that paring down yet. And yeah, there's definite fear because it's fear of missing out. There's FOMO, for sure, that I deal with all the time, because there's that. But I love this thing. I want to do this. I want to have time for that. I don't want to miss out. So awareness of that, and of seeking more ways to be effective, and knowing that having really clear, smart goals is a smart way to show up. And I have not done it as much as I would like. I really like to play with guilt and awareness versus shame, just knowing that shame is so toxic. I really think I've worked that deeper so that I don't feel shame the way I used to, but I don't know.
Okay, so it sounds to me, I think I'm hearing that you were conscious through this process. The final question is, were you conscious or not?
I was, yeah, because I was really on the subject, and then you were talking about it with everybody else, and I was thinking about ways that I have my alarm go off just so I can find my phone, because it's always in airplane mode. So I have alarms go off throughout the day, and how I can apply those, and how, unfortunately, I already know what I'm doing when I hear it, that, you know, it triggers something else, but I'm trying to figure how I can do that. So I was on the subject, at least, very clearly, and heartedly deciding how do I use this to improve, which that made me feel good that I wasn't lost right after you asked. It wasn't exactly like, give me 10 minutes and see where my mind wanders. This was a very short period of time. I don't feel like I was as challenged as I would be. How many other times during the day I get lost in the next thing, that squirrel, all that. So.
Thank you. Kelly's going to leave here in a second. You want to check out, Kelly?
Sure.
You know what you're doing.
Well, I know what I'm doing, and I'm consciously moving over to another call. I just want to say that I'm loving this, and I'm looking forward to doing more. I can relate to what you were saying, Monica, personally, and this whole process reminded me of, I took a class in college, like in the 70s. There's my alarm. That's for me to get on the other call. I took a class at Davis in the 70s from a guy named Charles Tart, who
I know Charlie Tart.
Yeah, he wrote that book, States of Consciousness. And in that book, as I recall, there was he put in throughout it this premise in the beginning that when you read the word ding, that's the signal to check yourself, because it was a way of checking your consciousness. So this whole process that we're going through here just totally flashed me back to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, pleasure, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys on other Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm feeling sad you're leaving, but happy you were on the call.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Yeah, I resonate with that.
Nice.
All right, Kelly. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, the windows just got bigger. Look at that. Wow, everybody's got bigger. Okay, any other questions, or anybody have burning desire to share on this? No desires to share. Okay, nothing burning.
Craig, yeah. It's kind of in and around the alarm going off. Having worked in corporate America pretty much all of my adult life, since I was like 19, one of the guys in particular, I worked at this wealth management firm over in Menlo Park for a few years, and this guy, it was a bit over the top, but he had an AM routine and a PM, like a wake routine, and a evening, before bed routine, and like intentionality, visualization. He had a whole system, and his calendar throughout the day was like charted. His clients were like charted, like stages to talk through and look through. And that just has me see, like, I resist that much structure. And I realize that, like, where's the balance? And like, I resist structure, and I just like, why do I resist it so much? And so maybe the alarm going off throughout the day and have me get present to what it is I'm doing. And maybe I'm doing more than I'm actually giving myself credit for. Because I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm if I were to look back, the things that I did actually accomplish, but I had the experience, and I'm just kind of like floating through life. And I could actually probably give myself some credit when that alarm goes off and goes, wow, look at what I did get accomplished.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's is a good example of having people have a lot of infrastructure around them, but doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be awake.
Mm-hmm.
The infrastructure for me was, in the past, was a sticky note everywhere I spent any amount of time. So in my vehicle rear view mirror was a sticky note. Hey, wake up. If front of my computer, wake up, bathroom, wake up, my bedroom, wake up, kitchen, you know, basically they're little wake up notes. And if you hang out with me at any length of time, you'll see I'm always playing Pandora Kirtan in the background. Why? Because Kirtan's a call back to your heart, to be present. And the mind always is going to wander. It's like a little puppy. It goes over there, and you don't yank it back. You lovingly bring yourself back to the present moment. You don't say, you fucking idiot. You say, oh, wandering again. Okay, we'll come back here. And that's what the notes and the infrastructure is all about, is to bring this thing, the wandering kite, back to ground.
Yeah.
Because that's what it does. It's a wandering kite, and don't try and change it. It's not going to change. You
Yeah.
have to accept it for what it is, and then it changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, a lot of meditation techniques are nothing more than manipulation. I will tell you that they don't work in the long run. They'll work in the short run. You feel better. But if you're manipulating your own consciousness, like I got to focus on what's the one I'll pick on? Oh, the Vipassana on the nose breath in and out. You know, you follow the sensation of the breath going in and out. Well, that's focus, that's concentration, but that's not going to do anything to the subconscious whatsoever. None, zero. It's a nice little aspirin to take. My teacher calls it a spiritual chiropractic adjustment. You know, but there's a point where they don't work anymore, and you have to rest in the dark night of the soul, where nothing works, and I got to accept. We're all drawn to that place, all of us.
It's not true what they say about Vipassana, that eventually when you start to focus on smaller aspects, it builds your focus to be able to bring your focus in, whereas we're all like, I'm like squirrel, shiny silver thing, woo.
Right. Now that's great, but that's dualistic world training. The training that gets us beyond the dualistic world is to sit and let everything be as it is. Because when you turn off the vigilant one, the focus one, what happens then is my curiosity. You know, when the vigilance ends, how is your normal train of consciousness? Are you identified with it or not? It doesn't matter if it's evil, burglars, murders. If you're not identified with your stream of consciousness, then you're free of it. And so the deepest meditation is let everything be as it is. Anything else is a manipulation. And they're fine. It's fine to have manipulation, but you do the manipulation, the focus, and then you practice letting go. You do it, and the mind wanders, and you bring it back and do a little manipulation, and you let it go, and you keep checking. This is the Abraham thing too, about your vortex of creation. When you're out of your vortex, you go do work for a little while, and you go reintroduce yourself to the stressful situation. Oh, it's kind of lighter now. But we're doing
I have a question.
Yes.
Just like, as far as, you know, what comes to mind is like, oh, all the things that are going on in our current state of affairs and all the people that want to create all of these changes. And then I hear this like, oh, but just let it be as it is. Otherwise you're fighting against, you know? So I'm like, how does that fit, you know?
So there's everything being as it is part of the interface into the absolute. There's nothing practical about this at all. So we have to have the dualistic training of how do we function with others, with life, with goals, and all that. So the particular context of this, Tara, is only around meditation. This has nothing to do with day-to-day life. Day-to-day life, you've got to be engaged in a certain kind of consciousness. But when we go and sit down and do yoga and meditate in that container, the deepest is the non-manipulated state. And then that non-manipulated state starts to run our lives. I channel 90% of what I do with clients now. I set an intention, and it's a channel. I'm not trying to contrive up anything most of the time. And that's the gold of that. That's the practical part, is you start spewing out love and truth without even thinking about it. Wow, did I just say that? You know how many times in a day I do that now? At least 100. Like, wow, did I just say that? Holy shit.
Thanks, got it. But also, like, but the breathing is just a manipulation. But like, if you're breathing more, you become more present. And so you're able to channel and able to go into those deeper states where you are self-aware and you can just let things be as they are. You know what I mean?
That's right. Because in the dualistic world, it requires effort to be happy as we get older. And the effort is that work to choose the positive thought, right? So that's why I'm saying that's where the helpful manipulation is. Oh, my programming came up. There it is again. There's the trauma. There's the wound. And then sitting with it is my point. Not manipulating it, not focusing, but focusing on how does that trauma feel in my bones right now? That's what frees us of it. Now, and you know what? Okay, we're going back to screen share because I have the perfect segue, and then we'll take a break. So this was in my common law class, believe it or not. Kind of unbelievable that a common law class is talking about something like this. I just did this today earlier. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. So in my common law class, this guy's version of common law comes out of the soul. So we have our soul, and it's connected to us through an etheric or energetic body. And we have our true personality, our true passions, our true desires, feelings, emotions, and intentions come out of that. And we're our earth suit. On the right, there's the physical body. It's our earth suit. So I love what he said here, the principles of love and what is true. Love allows everything. Love always seeks to discover what is true. Love always tells the truth. Self-correction, do no harm. These are all uncontrived things that love does in the world. Next. So you see how this guy at the very bottom of this, above the human, is laws common to I. And notice the I is in lowercase. That's an interesting piece to talk about later. This is natural law. And here we go. So at the center of this, let's see, is that the last one? Okay. Notice at the center of this circle here is the soul. And then we have a painful something that comes our way. And actually, I'm going to go to, there it is. Soul in the pure state. So there it is. It's just the soul. And then a traumatic event occurs. See, and there's a little cloud in the soul. And the soul might return to a pure state. Oh, we're going backwards in this one. Oh, there it is. So see how here, you're 5 years old. We'll do a really bad one. You're 5 years old and your uncle is groping you. And you can't say anything because he tells you if you say something, he's going to hit you. Oh, shit. Now there's pain because I can't release this emotion. I want to punch this guy. What a prick. So you don't release the emotion and the pain body is sitting in there. See, and then fear. See, the next layer is fear comes out of that, or some emotion. And then we develop false beliefs about ourselves based on that pain. And then we put a facade around those false beliefs. And then we have addictions above that facade. Habits and addictions that appear in some people quite harmless, but nevertheless, they're still armored. And then the way back is to go into that pain and see how everything, the layers start to go back, feel that pain, and then you're back to the pure state. Really important to get this, that in Buddhism, there's a saying, we come to nirvana, which is the present moment, which is peace and bliss and satisfaction by way of samsara. Samsara is your pain. So we go into our pain, we don't bypass our pain, we don't medicate our pain, we don't run away from our beliefs, we don't run away from our fear, we don't run away from our facades, we don't run away from our addictions, but we've got to feel. Got to feel. See, the way out is feel, and be and remain present. It's called armoring in psychology. And you're going to run into this. Why am I spending time on this? Because you're going to see a lot of this in yourself. Clients are going to trigger this, and you're going to see it in others. But that's why we're doing this class. Is if you're clear that someone just triggered you that's a client, then you're not likely to act upon that trigger. Okay, we're going to now stop screen share. And I'm going to stop the recording for a minute so we can take a break. Stop recording.